time for Trial Tuesday with attorney David Aylor, and today we're going over the basics of medical malpractice. David, welcome, as always.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so the basics, we hear about it all the time. I guess let's just start from, the beginning, where you might think that there has been a case of medical malpractice.
Yeah, you get a lot of these type of calls. I know my office does, and a lot of other ones do in the Low Country, and essentially people think usually one of two things. Either they were misdiagnosed or were diagnosed for something that they actually didn't have and were treated for that, or you actually have some sort of procedure that occurred and they since have had some sort of negative effect from that. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it may just be a side effect. A lot of times you get a little bit of a mix up there. People say, hey, I had this surgery and now this has happened. In reality, that was something that was in a risk all the way from the very beginning that they were made aware of, but of course didn't really pay attention.
Gotcha.
But when it comes to something that you really feel went wrong within any type of medical treatment, first thing you need to do is, of course, get a second opinion. Before going to any attorney, and before most attorneys are going to really take that case, they're going to want to look to a second opinion, and that's something you can do on your own. Sometimes there may be a financial issue with that, and so that's where an attorney can help, as well as having some sort of medical expert that they use to really look at the documents and review. But in that case, you got to get the records.
Yeah, it seems very, very muddy to me. Like you said, I'm sure you get a lot of phone calls that people think this happened. So as an attorney, what do you look at before taking on a case? So you want the second opinion.
Right.
Is there anything else that you look at before you take it on?
If you're really serious about it, you're going to need to get those medical records. Sometimes, like I said, people will come in just with a story, and it's very hard to determine at that point. Some stories may sound like there's actually some substance there, but without being able to back it up by either looking at what another physician may have said about the surgery or about what happened, or of course, just as important, getting those records from the initial procedure that was done. And then we have people within our office that we utilize on a contractual basis, and just like any other lawyer does, and then that person's going to review it and really try to determine if there's somewhere to go with it.
You had mentioned a lot of people have a procedure or something done and then the side effects of that.
Right.
Had they, they were warned of them, but you said maybe they didn't listen or pay attention. Does that keep the doctor in the clear?
Absolutely. I mean, most of the time will. Simply you're going to have the disclosure of you're getting this type of procedure. These are some of the potential side effects. Or sometimes surgeries just don't work. You maybe have the surgery and what you were trying to alleviate didn't occur. That's not exactly going to be medical malpractice. I think the term gets thrown around a little too much. There's a lot of protection out there for the doctors, the lobbies that have gone through with the way that the laws are written now. So for it actually to move forward and show that standard of care has been deviated from, and those are the terms you want to look for, it really takes it's a pretty large hill to get up, but you do see it sometimes. And what just as important is making sure that you take a look at it as quickly as possible. Sometimes people going down the line, your statute of limitations may run out, or also it may be too hard to be able to prove that it was directly related to that surgery or whatever procedure you had.
Sure. Let's backtrack and start from the very beginning. How can we prevent this? As a patient going to the doctor, what should I be very aware of, and what steps should I take before I kind of get in a messy situation?
Well, just like anything else, you want to look at the reputation of who you're going to see. Obviously, if it's someone that's established, they're going to have other patients, other people that can sort of speak up in the community for that person or for that facility. Beyond that, you want to make sure that you do understand exactly what is at risk, what the potential side effects are. Again, I think so people rush to get relieved for whatever it is they are ailing from, and then they really sort of put on blinders to what may happen, because we never want to think about bad things happening to us or one of our loved ones. But unfortunately, it is there and it is a risk. And any professional medical person is going to tell you that ahead of time, because that's their job and they don't want to do anything but help you either. However, they're very familiar with what can happen.
So it would seem wise before any type of procedure to, as you said, in any case, get the second opinion before you dive right in and do something.
And don't always just think Google and WebMD are going to be the best answers.
Probably not the best out there. A Trial Tuesday with attorney David Aylor today, talking medical practice. Thank you
Thanks
for being
having
here.
us, as always.
And we've got much more on Low Country Live after the break, so stay with us.